What's happening, ladies? I hope you're all well. So, there's a common term that I hear lots of women say, and it's the term men. And I want to sort of elaborate and explore this type of term, or the term said in a certain way, that is very intriguing and very interesting, actually. So, get comfortable, and I'm gonna give it my best go at sort of internalizing and explaining this occurrence that I've seen and observed over the years. So often I'll hear when women are talking about men and describing something a man has done, sometimes they'll simply just say men. And I've seen this on many occasions, and for me, it looks like a term, or you're saying men in a way that is venting frustration, venting almost, in some instances, not all, but in some instances, looking down upon men. In some instances, let me stress. And in some ways, I get it. In some ways, I get it. Because as women, you have many advantages naturally and instinctually that most men just don't have. And that is in the, I would say, most likely the perimeter, or the section, should I say is more appropriate, the sector of emotional intelligence and intuition. And you have to excuse me because it is very early in the morning. I'm trying to get this done so that I can make sure it's done, because you know how it gets when you say, I'm going to do this a little bit later, do this a little bit later, and then before you know it, it's like it's just sitting there and you haven't done it, and it's been like a month. So I'm trying to just do things even when it's uncomfortable for me to do things. I think that's the best way, probably. So back to what I was talking about. You sometimes, you women, you have emotional intelligence and intuition that most men simply don't have, and therefore when men, you're interacting with men and they're simply not on your level of understanding in a certain situation, with subtle cues, hints, tone usage, and men don't even get what you aren't even on the same page as you with regards to what you're trying to hint to them or explain to them or communicate to them, is probably the best term to use. And it must be extremely frustrating. It's almost like a human talking to a bird, like a human trying to talk English to a bird, and the bird just doesn't understand. It's just not going in, and it must be extremely frustrating for you. So when you women are together, or even sometimes I've observed not together, it's just out in the open, some women will just say men, men. And I do understand that frustration. The only problem with that, the only dilemma that you have with that, is it's not a resolving mechanism. It's a frustration venting mechanism, and that's fine. We all need frustration venting mechanisms. I'll be real. Men do, talk about women like in a frustrated way in the presence of men. Men do that as well. So both genders do it, and we do need to vent our frustration, because otherwise it just, you bottle it in and it builds and builds and builds. I'm just saying that the only dilemma with that is it's not a resolving mechanism. If you were to, if a child doesn't get something, you would then break it down into bite-sized, digestible portions, so that they can eventually understand it. If you break something down to a man that he's not hardwired to instinctually understand, then over time he may become a better man for it. And therefore, if he's a better man himself and he's your man, then he's going to be a better man for you as well in turn. So that's the only thing. So if you were to explain in, you might say, stupid language, what you meant or what you were trying to communicate, and the man is receptible and humble enough to actually listen, so that would have to be something that's existing in the man, then you would actually help that man be a better man for you. And that's probably a better way to be than just to vent your frustration 100%. Still vent your frustration, still do, like, if you have to vent your frustration in certain ways and do it, listen, it's part of the human psyche. I'd be naive to say, oh, just stop it, stop venting frustration in men, just don't do it. I'd be naive. We all have to vent our frustrations, you know, whether it's at work, whether it's at I don't know, your sports, or whether it's in business. You have to vent your frustration at certain people, not at them directly, but when you're not with them, you have to vent your frustration to someone, because otherwise it's going to build and build and build. It's a coping mechanism. But to still do that, that's on that side. But on this side, try and improve your man, or even if it's a co-worker or someone, just try and break down your frustration in bite-sized, digestible portions, and in stupefied language if you really have to, not in patronizing, but stupefied language in terms of like ABC basics, because then you're going to allow that person to grow and alleviate yourself of current stresses. That's the only thing I would say. Otherwise, you're going to dwell in your own problem. But I do get it, because here's the thing, like, I don't want to like blow my own trumpet, but I would say that I have slightly over average intuition for a guy, and I'm very emotionally aware in terms of, I've always been able to pick up on body language and hints and cues that most men don't seem to pick up on. And that's probably where my intrigue of the human psyche and the behavioral dynamics and human psychology comes from. But most men are not like that. So when I talk to men about subtle things going on, maybe in movies, and like they don't get it, and it's like I kind of just think, you know what, I'm not even gonna say anything anymore. But so I do get it, but at the same time, you have to. I found that when you try and help someone, and it actually helps them, and it also helps you as well. So that's something to think about. Anyway, what do you think about what I said in this video? Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video, and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one, ladies.